Hello Pisces, welcome back to Path of Enlightenment Tarot. For those of you returning to the channel, welcome back. For those of you who are new, welcome. I am Nicole. Pisces, this is going to be a January reading, but this is going to be specifically for what it is that your inner child wants you to know at this time. So I'm going with a completely different series of videos rather than opening up January with, the general information. I felt compelled to do these over the winter break, and Spirit had other plans for me that I needed a break, so I took my hiatus. I want to say thank you to all of those of you who've stuck around and been loving, supportive of the channel, and understanding where, if I'm going to continue to do this work, I have to work on me. So I will give a quick spiel on the fact that if you are going to others for advice in this realm, make sure that these people that you're dealing with are people that are working on themselves, because if you don't put in the work to you, you can't authentically do this work. It's just all there is to it. You have to be open to that spiritual knowledge. So why I felt compelled to say that, I'm not sure. I don't think I opened up the other water signs readings with that information, but there you go. There it is. So Pisces, we're going to dive right on into it. What I did hear from Spirit before I turned on the camera was that the inner healing of the heart is where profound love is found, is to be found or find or whatever. So we're going to see what comes up in your reading for what your inner child wants you to know at this time. And I think it's a good way to start off the year. So Pisces, with that, I will say too quickly, personal reads will open up. I'm making a lot of changes. Be patient with me. I'm juggling so many things. I have a lot of cycles that are essentially closing up and closing out, and they're just requiring a little extra time and effort on my part. So as soon as I can get these things done, they will be done and available to you. So that information will be found in the description box below and the about section of the page upon that time. Pisces, what I will say to you, I only want to take there's two cards. All right. Patterns and Revolution. I do feel, I feel like, Pisces, what Spirit is giving to me is the full moon, and I forget, I haven't been keeping up with any of this stuff lately because of my own craziness, right? The full moon, which I think should be happening around the end of the month, is going to be very important for you, because I feel like, especially the third week of, let me look. I want to look and see when the full moon is this month. I don't even know. But the third week is what Spirit is intuitively giving me, is going to be very essential to a new beginning process for you, where you're going to clean out the old stuff that the inner child is dealing with. But I also feel like it's ripping open the heart space to see what lies beneath the surface for you. Okay, so let me look here. Full moon, January 24. January 25th, which I think would that put us in the third week? Let's see. Oh, that'll be into the fourth week. So 3 weeks out though. 2-3 weeks out, just about. So yeah, fourth week of January. But going into the third week, you may feel those energies starting to kick up for you, because, we step into that pre-shadow phase. We have the 24 hours before the day up, and then the 24 hours after. I feel like this is going to be a very large release for some of you, if not most of you, if not all of you. What I think is very interesting about this, though, Pisces, is that there's something that transpired over the holiday season that is making you take a look at the patterns. This could be familial, right? So we talk about that inner child. That inner child has had the influence and the conditioning of the generations before, the generations of what it is you've been brought here to heal and to address as well. But it's like right now, I kind of feel like you're on this precipice of kind of exposing what is laying within that heart center. The number 7, potentially, and I'm timing is fluid in tarot, right? But what I will say, the one thing that I've realized over the years of me doing this, the numbers that come through for me are typically pretty specific on the time frame. Now, this could be 7 months, could be 7 years, it could be 7 days, right? But to me, this is going back to that inner child. So the age of 7 could have been a very imperative time frame for you as to when a particular wound started to take place that has now led into the adult life, or wherever you are in your life. And Spirit's saying it doesn't matter if you're 70 years old. So to my older Pisces out there, if you're watching this, it doesn't matter how old you are, there is always this inner healing work. We start this journey from the moment we take our first breath, clear to the close that we take that last breath, right? So it doesn't matter what frame you are in, these shifts are always going to continue to happen. Some of you, and I've been picking up on this a lot, could have lost something or somebody during this time frame as well. And why this energy? It's like a dual energy of like having to deal and juggle with two specific parts, and this having to do with the healing, but then also having to do with the self. It's like the outside external sources to the things that you've been dealing with, and then realizing how you've been trying to keep those emotions, that frustration, the aggravation at bay for so long. And it's like there's something beneath the surface that lies within you, and this has to do with your roots. This has to do with your security as well. I'm getting a lot of root energy. I feel like a lot of it has gotten twisted over the years, that like your ideas and beliefs have gotten intertwined with what other people see you to be or how they expect you to be. I've said this for the other water signs, and this doesn't seem to be too far off of that. This period of Pluto and Aquarius, right, the next 20 years, this is about that restructuring of the belief system. But I also feel like everybody else, like you're trying to sit in this water energy of who you are. Everybody else is coming with like this earthbound, earthly energy going, this is what we're working towards. This is what we should be doing. But inside of you, there's a lot of energy around the lotus itself, right? Emerging from the mud and the muck, there's beauty that is created from that. Two cards here showing those lotuses, but I also feel like that the beauty that is within, right? You know, the age of 7 too is about, like we have as children, right? I'm going to go back here for a hot second. The first 7 years shapes us. When you look at the psychology of the aspects of the self, the first 7 years of our lives is very essential to who we believe ourselves to be, how we act, how we move, how we are conditioned. Those first 7 years are our experiences, and that tends to shape how we behave moving forward. And ironically enough, as I say this, what comes to mind from Spirit, and thank you, Spirit, you think about, they say about our health, like our bodies go through these cycles every 7 years. So see where you are in that 7-year regeneration process. What is it that is going on? What was happening at age 7, and how do you see that now playing out, relating to very much the chest energy or area, and then the heart space energy that opens you up to feeling that emotional Spirit is using the word backlash. Did you get backlash for opening up yourself emotionally? Did you get taught that your feelings did not matter? They were not validated, because it's like all of a sudden with this reaction is like, it's the only way you know how to react is to finally, like, the dam breaks loose. And you could have been feeling for some time too that I'm afraid if I cry, I'm afraid if I respond or I feel something, that once this opens up, it's not going to stop. It's repressed emotions. It's time for them to fall out, fall away, let the tears flow, cry, scream, you know, whatever you need to do. But there's a reason for the fact that these things are opening you up and coming in to revolutionize what's happening. And I'm going to say this as I look at this card and I'm thinking now about the Pluto and Aquarius. It's revolutionary change. And there you have that revolution, talking about that last week of January. The Pluto was moving in back into Aquarius on the 21st of this month. So you're going to start to see a whole lot of shifts happening in your world in relation to this, and what it is that your inner child is trying to clean up and clear up, to try to expose, release, reveal to the self. There's been a lot of pain. What I think is really interesting about all the eyes that I'm seeing, they're squinty. So I'm seeing that as two things. One, it's like squinting the eyes because it's like you don't want to maybe see, but you also need to hear, you need to listen, you need to be aware. But it's also kind of like people giving you the stink eye too, going, why are you doing it that way? It's a lot of attitude that is sitting in the balance of this, and it's like, why would you? It's the way that they're viewing you. It's the way that they're viewing you, and then you feeling like you have to close those eyes and just go, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to see it. You could be dealing with somebody or have people over the life cycle for you that have ridiculed the way you move or why you do the things. It's like they don't come in and go, hey, I'm proud of you, or hey, you know, and I think I talked about this in Cancer's reading, like the validation. And I don't feel like you're seeking their validation. I feel like their projected words have created discontentment within you, that it's just like, okay, when it happens, you tend to shut down. And then you get lost in your emotions because you have to repress those emotions, or at least it feels that way. There's a need to repress those things and just follow along with what other people think it is that you should be doing or how you should be moving. So I hope that's making sense for you guys right off the bat. There's a freedom on the other side of this, though, as you create those changes. Fear attached to that. Again, I said about like not wanting to see right. You take a look at that. She's got her eyes blindfolded. It's like the Two of Swords. Like, I don't want to see. I don't want to have to interact. I don't want to have to deal. I don't have to feel. It's almost like this. I don't want to know. I don't want to know about this. I don't care. But as much as you may not see it, what you're hearing from the external world is what's playing a very large role on your emotions. Because even though you're not, it's like your ears. You talk about the throat chakra energy, and there's quite a bit of blue on this Pisces card. And as I say that, there's blue and purple both in all three of these, or all four of these cards that I'm looking at right now. That throat feels like, when it comes to the ability to communicate how you feel, that's very much blocked. It's very much locked down, but your ears are open. So you're taking in everything that you're hearing and refusing to have to look. Like, you refuse to look at the outside world, but you see through it. So I hope that's making sense the way that's coming through. But now that you have, because you know the throat is not, it's the only chakra center in the body that has two openings. One to the front, like imagine it like a trumpet. It's got a front and a back, whereas all the other chakras either have the front trumpet, or if the crown, it goes up to the heavens, the root goes down to the earth, right? So with that throat chakra, it's opening to the front and the back, but it's like the front being the throat of how you communicate is locked. Doesn't want to speak, it may be a fear of speaking your truth, but you're, again, open to the back of the hearing, to hear and absorb what it is you're taking in. And it's like you're taking it all in, and it's got no outlet. There's no expression. And it's like, and again, you look at this Pisces card, she's holding back those two fish. She's holding back that blue. She's holding back her thoughts. She's holding back her feelings. She's repressing those things, right? So going back to childhood, who taught you to repress your emotions? Who taught you that your thoughts, your feelings were not meant to be heard, or you weren't supposed to express those? It's a very big thing for you, Pisces. All right, what comes out? Justice. This card, I believe, came out in Cancer's reading as well. You got water signs seem to be following right along with everybody else, or with each other, I should say. Some of you could be moving or have been contemplating moving away from a center point of the people that you have had to deal with. Some of you could travel a lot for work. Part of that travel is that is a form of almost like escapism for you, to get your mind straight. It's like where you go to, whether you travel for work, you just enjoy traveling in general, but it's also used as a form of escapism to get you away from things. And then it's like you return home, and then things kind of filter back in, or flood back in, I should say, not really filter, but they kind of flood back into you. You could be dealing with a Virgo. It does not have to be, but I think Pisces, is Virgo your complete, or your perfect opposite, right? We got Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, or Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo. Yeah, Virgo's your complete and utter opposite. So I would take a look too. You think about, I don't know what's in your birth chart in your North and South node, but Spirit's bringing that up. Is where does Virgo sit? You know, do you have that placement in your chart as well? Because that is the equivocal balance of who you are, right? So be aware of that too. So let's see, what else for Pisces here, Spirit? What else does change? Coming out kind of funky, almost sideways. 1 second, guys. If I don't give her time, she'll be on me. Okay, there's that. Dynamism, fallen eagle. Spirit is saying falling on your own sword in this change. I think for some of you, there is a separation that has occurred from the point of childhood and moving on and forward. 8 here is also that of this year. That 7 was last year. I talked about this, I think it was in Cancer or Scorpio's video as well. That 7 was about the self-care, the dynamism, realizing what you are perfectly capable of outside of the noise of the other people in your world. And I feel like it was a shocking, I don't know, I heard a noise and I just jumped. Did you see that? This is about, like, this could have shook you to your core. This could have opened you up and realized, like, you know, getting down beneath the surface of it, that there's something more within you. There's a dynamic, there's a very creative, energetic flow, like the light for you to grasp onto is right there. And I feel like in 2023 for you guys, there was realization to that energy, that there was so much more to you than maybe what other people gave you credit for, or what it is that you even thought that you were capable of because of what you've been taught to believe. I'm going to pause this for 1 second. Hold on a minute. Okay, so sorry about that. People with their loud cars, why are we overcompensating? Just saying, like, nothing irritates me more, I don't think. Like, nobody else wants to hear your shit. Nobody cares. Anyhow, the one thing, though, that Spirit did bring into me while I was waiting for the noise to stop, utilize moss agate, which is going to ground your energy. It's also related to the heart space as well. So if you're into crystals, my little lady here, I'm going to show her to you. She's a moss agate ancestral carving. She's absolutely gorgeous, but moss agate's a really good crystal to work with. And I've got some of those, so reach out to me via email if you're interested in those. Beautiful, beautiful towers and stuff. But anyways, but this change is happening. This separation is occurring. You could have separated yourself before, but I also feel like, and I think I've seen this before for you, Pisces, at some point, that you're realizing there's a split of who you thought you were as opposed to who you are, and now stepping outside of that energy as well. So it's very interesting the way it takes shape for you moving forward. But I also feel like there's that, talking about the duality, that fish, though, it's a representation of, you know, fulfillment, right? Of longing, the desires, and then separating yourself from someone else's bullshit and making, you know, what is it that you are in need of? What is it that you are desiring itself, you know, for you? So let's dive a little deeper here, Pisces. All right, Pisces. What else does Pisces need to know, Spirit? Queen of Cups, 10 of Cups. Queen of Cups, there you are. I think there's a realization, too, that, I would say that some of you could be in same-sex relationships, or, you know, somebody has, like, almost beaten into your head the direction in which you were supposed to go. So if you're finding yourself pushing against the grain, and obviously that's not going to be for all of you, but if you're finding yourself in same-sex relationships, it's like you find more love in that than I think you have felt in your entire life. And you're realizing that someone else's version of happiness may not be the version of who you are and what it is that you desire, what your happiness looks like to you, that you can have a family dynamic that isn't traditional and be completely okay with that. For some of you too, they're giving me a lot of energy around children, like them not being yours, but you being the nurturer, the lover, the care. So some of you could be adopting, or you could have been adopted yourself. The dynamic is very, very different than what we would see typically in the traditional sense of those dynamics in general. So I feel like you're, you know, there might be a fear attached and associated with how the world is going to react to you when you make these changes, or you feel like you're ready to step out into a light that is different than what, you know, the values or beliefs that you've been brought up on says that you're supposed to be, or how you're supposed to interact with things. There's a lot of energy around, like, this, I'm going to say the same. And when I say that, again, going back to maybe same-sex relationships, it doesn't have to be, or just the way the person or the people that you identify with that make you feel emotionally fulfilled. Okay, so it could be, you know, your world, right? You're going to know it better than me, what it brings in, what brings harmony and bliss, what is like music to your ears, what it is that you truly feel comfortable and safe in. And for some of you in heterosexual relationships, maybe, you know, oh, you're supposed to get married and have kids and do things this way, right? You could be entering into a family that already has children that you just get to be support to them, right? Like you get to take on that role of being that lover and nurturer without having to give birth to children. Or, if you're masculine energy, stepping into that role of dad or that masculine form for somebody else. Like, it's very different than what someone is expected of you. And it's like you're kind of living in this idea of this isolation, or having to hide a side of yourself that it almost makes you, for some of you, Spirit's giving me the word dirty. It can make you feel dirty, that it's like, if I step into my desires and my beliefs of who I truly am, like, I've been taught for so long that that's wrong, that it makes me feel like I've done something horrible, like I created a sin, or I'm going to be judged for the decisions that I've made of who I am and the way I choose to do things in my life. I'm going to go, maybe you grew up in a house with doctors and lawyers. That's who mom and dad was, and they think you're supposed to be a doctor and a lawyer, or a lawyer and follow in their footsteps, and you decide to become a stripper. Like, so what? Maybe there's art in that, right? The beauty, the human form. That's what you decide to do. So it's like, if I tell my parents that I've been twilighting as a stripper while I've been going to med school, but that's what I'd rather do than become a doctor, like, they're going to think that I'm trash. It's that judgment that comes in. So whatever the dynamic is for you, it's just like, there is a creative form within you that says, there's something else I want to play with. There's something else I want to step into. But that means I have to be open. That means I have to be authentic. That means I have to fully embrace the light that is in with me without believing that everybody else's opinions matter. Okay, I hope that's making sense for you guys. For Pisces, King of Cups, Two of Cups, King of Cups. Listen, you are coming into balance with something. The Eight of Pentacles. I love this for you, Pisces. Temperance, healing, right? Divine guidance as well. This is being guided to again, I said that duality, right? There's a lot of split energy. You've got those two fish I showed you with this change. You've got the two faces, right? It's giving me a lot of Gemini kind of vibes. The Two of Cups, the two, right? The intermingling, like I said, differences. The difference in the way, right? We have, color association here. Love comes in many forms. It doesn't matter where you come from or how you get there. Love is love. Love is love. It does not matter who, how, when, where, why, what. It's love, right? And that King of Cups, and it's nurturing. And then you've got the duality of the sun and the moon on the Temperance card. So it's like an integration of this revolutionary change with this full moon coming up, Pluto moving into Aquarius. Like, Pisces, it's changing the way that you move. It is accepting yourself in all forms for who you are and what it is that you're supposed to be, who you authentically step into the light. And again, I do feel like I'm getting a lot of the same-sex vibes here for some reason. Embrace who you are. Not everybody is going to agree with you, and not everybody matters. So whatever you're doing, it does not matter. We're not, and I think I said this in one of the other water signs maybe, or I said it in the pep talk or something that I did the other day, where when we go to Heaven's Gate, if that's what you believe in, however you want to slice that, when you get to the other side, you're not asked about Cousin Susie, Uncle Bob, like your neighbor 4 doors down. Nobody gives a shit about what their souls did. It's not about them, it's about you. And this is kind of what this is about for you too, Pisces, is understanding that just to be you. And it's not so much that you're judging of others as much as it is you feel like you're being judged. I'm going to say this, and this is something that spirits bring up. If you've stepped outside of a commitment, a relationship, where you held ties to, and you've invested in something outside of yourself that's bringing something else into form, what I will say is pay attention to karma, right? Because you don't want to start a cycle off in karma that is what do I want to call it? You don't want to start a cycle off in like bad karma kind of vibe, okay? You want to start it off on a positive note. So if you have something that you need to wrap up so that you can move on and move forward into a new situation, do that first. Because if what's on the other side of this truly loves and cares for you, they're going to wait and understand. They're going to wait till the time is right. So this is you taking care of you to clean up the past so that you can move forward to the future. And it's like I talked about being like feeling dirty or something like that earlier. You know, don't put yourself into situations that are going to make you feel that way because you're trying to like move on faster than what the timing is allowing for. So allow a divine timing to be in flow, and that's again the 8 of this year is to allow that timing to take place for you. Be in flow with this change with temperance rather than pushing faster than you're supposed to be moving. I'm going to be honest with you guys. Like, I feel like the first 3 months of this year, this is preparation. It's weird how this first quarter of the year starts out to me. It's like, it's preparation. And you see this 8 of Pentacles here, right? She's working, she's learning, she's researching, she's apprenticing, she's trying new things, she's discovering how things alchemize. She's taking in as much knowledge as she can, and that is so that she can learn. That candle is lit. It's lit to inspire. It's lit to see more. It creates a glow around things, right? So take this time to alchemize, to learn, to play with the energies, growing, doing as much as you can, partnering up with people that are going to inspire you and open you up emotionally, because I do feel like you guys are stepping into an emotional balance that's creating this healing within the heart space that opens you up to this massive revolutionary change. But do not be afraid to create that release. Allow that release, to occur, because that's how you win in the end. It's like jet setting. Like, just when it takes off, it takes off. Let it take off. Let it release everything within you, okay? So what is the advice here for Pisces? I said about that creative energy, right, earlier. Whoops, I dropped it. There it is, create. And I seen that card. I think that came out for Cancer particularly. You have King of Cups here, Scorpio energy as well. Miracles. You're being asked to pay close attention to all the big and small miracles that have already occurred in your life and are currently occurring, and there are still more to come. Miracles surround you. Be on the lookout for them, and then create. You're being asked to step into balance with your creative side. Pay attention to how things feel. Right now, it's about being patient through that. Okay, that's what I said. Like, these first couple of months of the year may feel like, and I feel like I've said this a lot to a lot of people lately, you may feel like nothing is moving, but it is. This is preparation. During this state of preparation, you have to be patient on what it is that you are working on and working towards, because, and I'm going to say to some of you too, where you thought you might be judged, you might be surprised that you're not. I think you're going to have an unexpected alliance pop up for you that you would never have expected. End of February, beginning of March feels like a time frame for that as well. So let's see what else comes out here for Pisces, for their inner child spirit. What do they need to know? Talking about bending and flexing too. I'm not sure what that's about. Find some, take care of your health right now too. If you guys have lived in this constraint, coming out of like high school, maybe you're supposed to marry your high school sweetheart, something like that. Your values around your relationships are changing. I feel like if you've dealt with people that have put you on course for the way they want their life to look, so let's just say you're in a relationship or a partnership right now, or even dealing with family, it doesn't have to be romantic, right? Spirit is saying pick your alliances carefully, because it's like you're trying to open yourself up to a new way of being and existing, what you're pouring into. And I think before, you were seen as having to be again a certain way. That it's like this is a standard. Like you couldn't go out maybe and date. You couldn't have multiple options available to you. You couldn't just go out and, I mean, this is for some people, this is not for some people. You couldn't just go out and have a one-night stand without being judged for it. Going, yeah, well, fuck, I'm human, I had a night. Like, you know, let's be smart, obviously, don't be an idiot about it. But it's like, you're recognizing these patterns that surround, and I see these patterns coming out twice, two separate decks of cards. Like it's almost like you never got to live. You know, you never got to live, you never got to feel, you never got to enjoy something for the right reasons. And here's love and coffee cup, unconditional love. And I talked about that, I think, with Scorpio and Cancer as well. Unconditional love. What does unconditional love look like? Self-love and wholenessness. Or wholeness. Wholenessness. Is that even a word? Probably not. Affection and attraction, selflessness, meeting and talking, savoring the moments, feeling elevated, building friendships. This is a union of something coming together. And it's somebody in something that wants to come in, and there is such a deep connection to this that it's like you can't deny the feeling that comes in and how much emotional release comes from this when it happens. Look at, again, Spirit keeps taking me back to that 7. Pay attention to those 7-year increments, those 7-year markers for you. Truly take a look at where you are in those and what you're realizing. And Spirit is also saying, let's just say you're 35, right? So 7 times 5 is 35. The 5 being the key number there, because that's what you're going by. 5 is significant of change. Where are you on those markers, those time markers for yourself? If it's 5, it's probably change. If it's you're 28 and it's a 4, or you're between that 28 and 35 time frame and years here on this planet, is it about your foundational energies and what you're setting up for yourself? Take a look at where you are. If you're 70, that's a 10, it's completion. What is closed out? What part of life is over with? What is it that you're coming to terms with at this time? I talked about that 70, I think, in the beginning, right? Pay attention to where you're sitting, what number it is, and then look up the number and the meaning behind it, right? So it's very important. And I'm going to go back to that. I don't know why this is so heavy. From his birth to 7. 0s, 1s, infinite possibilities and new beginnings, the potentials. What did you learn to carry forward? What did you learn at that 1? From the day you were born, you were going to infinitely go through this. The wheel was always going to turn. It's going to go somewhere, right? It was for eternity. It's forever. It's for always. What is it? What do you need to unlearn? 32:23 on the clock. Or 33:22. Did I say that? I'm not even sure. What ties are there to those increments? Where were you? 7 to 14, where did you learn to love? What did you learn to love? 14 to 21, who were you working with? Who were you establishing yourself with? Do you see what I'm saying, how that works? The way Spirit just brought that in is just like, whew. Take a look at the big picture. Where are you in those increments? What should you be working on? What is it that you need to release that is carried forward with you to where you are now from that 0 to 7? I hope that's making sense for you guys. Very, very big message there. Very interesting, Pisces. I like that. I really do. I've never seen it that way. But you're building the new. You're putting yourself back out there. You're working on creating a life that is no longer you playing small. It's expressing yourself in bigger ways. All right, let's get you one last card here from the Lightworkers Oracle. All right, first ray of power and life path, 20 and 1. Said about that 20 and 1. Life path, what it is you were here to put to accomplish. If you don't know your life path number, go on Google it, figure out how to get that. It's an addition of your entire birthday, okay? and that'll give you your life path number. But I think your life path number is going to be very important for you to look at. Family of light. You are stepping into the light. Look, it came back out. Listen, this is, and I'm talking, and it's funny, I keep talking about those numbers with you guys, right? For good reason. I'm going to say to you too, I don't think in all the years that I've been using this deck, this Star Child came out. You see the beauty of this. Like, she's letting it flow through her hands. She's absolutely like electrifying to me. Like the energy that she exudes, she's taking it, everything around her, right? All the planets are there. There's an alignment that is happening. There's flow that is occurring, and twinkle in her eyes. Like, I'm going after what I love. I'm going after what I deserve. Talking about that life path. Holy mackerel. Sets of 3, 2. Some of you could have had twins. Don't know where that's coming from, or you could have a twin. So there's the duality. I talked about that Gemini energy earlier too. That is the duality. You could be dealing with a Gemini. Does not have to be. But this is watching yourself grow. Watching the innocence of your life. Like, and it's almost like letting, like, that whole, you know, you ever let water just run through your hands like she is right here, and feeling it, letting yourself step into that energy of flow, letting it just run over your hands. You may need to cleanse with water, you know, take a couple times throughout the day and just let your hands run through the water. Feel the energy that it cleanses and it clears you out, right? Find out your life path number. Again, this 2, you have another 2 here. Very, very important. Again, the duality of who you were, who you are. You are angelically guided one way or another. Some of you could be working on child number 3 this year. So if you don't want children or what have you, be mindful of that, because they could be back to back, fired out. Like I talked about kids earlier too. There was something around that. So be mindful of that. But I also feel like children could play a very big emphasis on 2024 for you in regards to the family life. But it's Spirit is saying awe and wonderment. You know, I talked about that innocence, I think I said earlier too. There's an innocence of us that exists, and I feel like it's going back to that innocence, that childlike self, that inner child that just needs to glow and needs to create and needs to flourish, and it's coming, Pisces. So that's the message for your inner child. I hope that you found this reading resonated for you. If you do, you think, you know, I hope it did its job for you. Like, share, subscribe. Feel free to comment as well. Again, personal reads, I will notate that here before long with the dates. Maybe making some changes again in regards to how I'm doing that, but it's going to make things more easy for everybody. So I'm going to leave it at that. I'm wishing you guys the very best. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you soon. Bye.